Welcome to the NewsX World Explainer series. I'm Asuma Katauka. Our top story today is a high-profile visit to Gaza and Tel Aviv by U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff. But on the ground, nothing seems to be changing. Witkoff, a special envoy under President Donald Trump, spent over 5 hours in Gaza on Friday. He toured U.S.-backed aid sites run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and said his visit was to help craft a plan to deliver more food and medicine to civilians. But Human Rights Watch says those same aid zones have turned into regular bloodbaths, blaming Israeli forces for gunning down desperate civilians. The UN reports at least 1,373 Palestinians have been killed while waiting for aid since 27 May.
Tomorrow, Special Envoy Witkoff and Ambassador Huckabee will be traveling into Gaza to inspect the current distribution sites and secure a plan to deliver more food and meet with local Gazans to hear firsthand about this dire situation on the ground. The Special Envoy and the Ambassador will brief the President immediately after their visit to approve a final plan for food and aid distribution into the region.
On Saturday, Witkoff visited Tel Aviv to meet with families of Israeli hostages still held in Gaza, nearly 22 months after Hamas's attack in October 2023. Of the 251 people taken hostages, 49 remain in Gaza, 27 of them declared dead. Hamas released footage this week of emaciated hostages, including 24-year-old Aviatar David, sitting in a dark tunnel.
The Trump administration intervention, we see it's not going nowhere. As a rule, I always say the only way to get a ceasefire and a hostage deal is pressure on Netanyahu. So every pressure is blessed. And since now most of the pressure comes from Europe, the Palestinian state declaration and warning of sanctions, this is the angle that I want to amplify. Because again, only pressure on Netanyahu from every direction will end this thing, for the good of the hostages and for the good of the Israeli state.
Israel's top general, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, warned that if a hostage deal is not reached in the coming days, combat will resume without rest. Over 60,000 Palestinians and 898 Israeli soldiers have been killed since the war began, according to Gaza's health ministry and the IDF.
We're here to remind the Israeli public that security and peace go hand in hand, and that the security of them does not come on the expense of the security of the Palestinian people. And we're here to say no to this genocide that's happening in our name. We're here to bring the reality of what's happening to their face, honestly.
احنا تعبنا من الحياة، تعبنا ما في يقولوا لنا مساعدات، احنا مش عايزين المساعدات، عايزين هداية البال، فين هداية البال؟ عايزين ولادنا، أنا مش عايزة أبقى أم شهيد ولا أخت شهيد ولا أبقى مرات شهيد، أنا عايزة أعيش عيشة زي الناس اللي برا عايشة.
In the meantime, countries like Spain, France, and Italy have begun airdropping food and medical aid into Gaza, with leaders calling for immediate humanitarian access and a ceasefire. Several European nations, including Norway, Ireland, and Spain, have now officially shown that they want to recognize a Palestinian state, adding to growing diplomatic pressure on Israel.
The EU sees Israeli military operations causing more displacements and more destruction. Settler violence and new settlements under construction are undermining the prospect of two-state solution, when the two-state solution is really the only path to sustainable peace.
French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot has warned that a ceasefire without a clear political solution for Gaza would be a mere illusion. His message is clear. There is no alternative to a two-state solution where both nations coexist in peace and security. French President Emmanuel Macron has confirmed his country's intent to recognize Palestine in September, a move opposed by Israel and the U.S.
La paix est possible. Nous voulons construire une alternative à l'état de guerre permanent dans la région, et cette alternative doit passer par la solution à deux États, Israël et Palestine, vivant en paix et en sécurité. C'est la position historique de la France et c'est la seule voie possible.
For the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, normalization with Israel can only come through the establishment of a Palestinian state. That position remains the same, and it is based on a strong conviction that only through the establishment of a Palestinian state and only through addressing the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people to self-determination can we have sustainable peace and real integration in the region.
Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa has echoed this demand, urging Hamas to relinquish control of Gaza to the Palestinian Authority to restore order. He also called for global recognition of Palestine as a state, but as diplomats debate, time is running out. Children in Gaza are starving.
إن هذه المجاعة ليست كارثة إنسانية طبيعية، بل جريمة إنسانية متعمدة، والصمت تجاهها هو شراكة في هذه الجريمة. لقد آن أوان التحرك، آن أوان وقف الكارثة وإنقاذ الأرواح.
Meanwhile, the United Nations has confirmed that Gaza is now facing the worst-case scenario, famine. Aid trucks are insufficient and civilians are being shot at while trying to reach food. The ongoing blockade has left millions with almost nothing. President Donald Trump earlier this week contradicted Israeli claims, stating that real starvation is happening and announced new food centers supported by the UK and the European Union.
I don't know. I mean, based on television, I would say not particularly, because those children look very hungry, but we're giving a lot of money and a lot of food, and other nations are now stepping up. I know that this nation is, right here.
Despite Israel's tactical pauses, aid groups argue this is not enough. The UN estimates that Gaza still needs at least 500 truckloads of food and medical supplies every day to prevent total collapse. Over 60,000 Palestinians have died and critical infrastructure is destroyed. Families are scavenging through rubble to survive.
كان ولاد عمي في الدار هذه موجودين، ولاد اثنين ونسوانهم وولادهم وأمهم وولاد أخوهم كليتهم، والحمد لله رب العالمين إننا لقيناهم أشلاء.
Diplomacy must move faster than starvation. International pressure is mounting, but with the Israeli military rejecting claims of starvation and Hamas still holding hostages, the path to peace remains as uncertain as ever. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned with NewsX World for fact-based coverage and analysis.